In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about reference photography. Because the truth is, looking at reference is not cheating. In fact, it's something that every one of you should be doing when you're making a painting. Because we just can't remember tiny details of every sort of subject matter. So when I go to make a painting, I'll make a sheet like this, which has a collection of a bunch of different reference pictures from poses to costuming, any sort of little pieces of information that are relevant to what I'm thinking about and that'll help me define what it is that I'm going to paint. Because a lot of times, if I want to paint something like, say, this female archer, I might have a general idea in my mind and want to clarify some of those more specific bits, like the costuming, by looking around for pictures of real things. So it'll be one part imagination and one part collection of real things that I can find pictures of on the internet. And then I combine them all into my final illustration. So obviously, a crucial role in making a painting is knowing how to find the right pictures on the internet. Because you'll be able to take some for yourself, but certain things are just impossible to have lying around. So I got this email from a guy named Will Green, and he said, "Hey, I love your site, and I just thought your community might want to know I'm making a website called Artsy Poses, and it's got tons of reference photos of costumed and nude models in all kinds of poses. Oh yeah, and by the way, it's free." So I checked it out, and wow, was he right? Look at this stuff. These are high quality, well-lit photos. They are really high resolution, and there's tons of them. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing you can even pay for. So write this down, artsyposes.com, awesome website. And you can see here that I've got one lady that's obviously an archer reference, but then two others that are some sort of a samurai spy. They don't have a lot to do from a costume standpoint with my final goal. But what they do have is an interesting pose. And when you gather reference together, you have to think about the individual components. So I can see these two ladies in black and say, those are good poses, and I can completely look past what they're wearing. And likewise, I can even use pictures of men or totally unrelated things if I see a bit of costume that I like. Because what you're doing with reference is piecing together different aspects all towards your original idea. So you've got all these pictures collected. Well, where do they go? There's two different choices. The first choice is if you have two monitors. Obviously, this setup is going to be a bit more expensive, but if you've got a few extra dollars, get a second monitor just to hold your reference. This is incredibly valuable. I use it all the time. So up here, I have all the pictures I'm looking at. And that leaves my actual working monitor so I can work full screen and still have a lot to look at. It's kind of like having a tack board where you could put up multiple reference pictures. I recognize that most of you probably don't have two monitors yet. Maybe something to look forward to. But for the time being, here's a practical one monitor solution. You can have your reference document over here with each layer an individual picture, so you can move them around separately. And then with your working document, you have a layer group with a mask on it. And this mask is like a little window that says, only this much of my image is going to be reference art. Sort of like pinning up a little tack onto the side of your painting. So I can drag any of these reference images from my reference document into the window, the reference group on my working document, and resize it as necessary. So this is the one thing I'm going to be looking at this moment. So this allows me to maximize both working space with most of the document, as well as having a little bit of reference. And I like the window approach where you're only looking at one piece at a time, because my reference documents tend to get really full and really cluttered, because they represent the entire range of my painting. Maybe at first I'll have lots of different pose pictures. So I'll have 5 or 6 pictures just to figure out what the pose might be. And then once I've gotten past the pose, well, then I'll probably hide those and then start working more on costumes. So I'll bring in a few extra pictures about the costumes. And in a lot of ways, it's like my visual brainstorming as I'm considering which direction I want to go with the piece. So my reference art will really change and move as I progress through an image. I strongly encourage you guys to be using reference art, whether it's paintings, photos, anything that'll help you put those rich details into your own work. And if you've got any awesome websites for reference or interesting techniques like this one, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys.